Hi, everyone. Welcome to the video. My name is Cole. I am co-founder of Semper Metallum, and today we have two very special guests with us. Today we have Connor and Colby of Australian metal outfit Headwreck. Would you guys like to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Ooh.
Woo!
Ooh. Yeah, I'm Connor. I do the screaming and a lot of the lyrical writing and frontman things.
What's up? I'm Colby. I'm the little drummer boy at the back of the stage. I sometimes help with lyrics, but I mainly take over all kind of like social media stuff and just kind of like cool visual content. Yeah.
That's great. I love that. And it's nice that you guys have a nice dynamic. It's good that you have some diversity, like who manages what. That's excellent. But we're very happy to have you guys on. And we have some nice questions for you today, but we'll first start off with a nice little once like warm up. I want to ask you both, what are some of your your biggest musical influences, and which of those have inspired Headwreck as a whole?
Definitely for us from the Australian scene, there's so many big bands that we definitely take inspiration from. Obviously, your North Lanes, your Void Divisions, your and then look internationally. I think especially on the last release, especially with like the mix and master, definitely 1056, a couple like weird sort of things in there, and I definitely say those three are big inspirations for this next release.
I would agree. I think kind of being a part of the band for this like release, as I joined a bit late in Glamorized Demise, our last release. I kind of helped Connor a little bit with lyrics, and I would say like big inspiration for me and always will be is Loathe. I think Loathe is just like one of the best bands ever, and like
Oh yeah.
anything they release, I just instantly like fanboy over and like become obsessed with. So it's like I kind of just presented some like more metaphorical ideas, I guess, and I feel like Loathe has a lot of those. That's like completely up to interpretation, and I find really interesting, and it makes me think. So yeah, definitely Loathe. But I think 1056 for like the cool little glitchy sounds is very, very accurate as well.
I love that. I know our co-founder Mateo is obsessed with Loathe, and we love to post them anytime we get a chance. But that's really nice to hear. Is there like maybe one of those bands that you would love to tour with one day? I bet Loathe is easily one that you would love to have the opportunity to tour with. Yeah.
Probably Loathe. Probably. Oh, I don't know. I feel like to really like, I don't know, the send off or the cap off for Headwreck would be touring with North Lane. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I see a lot of similarities with those two bands. So that would definitely be amazing. If I was in Australia, I'd go to every single show for you guys. But I'm in the US, so it is what it is. But it's to my understanding that you guys have a brand new EP coming out on April 7th called Reflection Room, and I've luckily had the opportunity to listen to it early, which I just want to say it's peak music. It is a masterpiece. But I guess I want to ask today, what's the story behind your upcoming EP? Is there something that has inspired you, or is there a certain theme or message that you've been wanting to share with your listeners?
Do you want to go, Colby?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I think a short but quick way. Yeah, short but quick. Yeah, true. Short way to like summarize the whole thing is just kind of like Reflection Room seems to be a collection of like stories, just kind of almost based on like human connection / interaction. Like the stories seem to always like talk about like this, say, character questioning his relationship with another person. So it's like, and say for Shiva, he's like questioning whether or not being with like another person is enough. And if I wasn't with that person, how would it be? Like in the song, it uses words like feeling cold and succumbing to the breeze and stuff like that, which kind of like elaborates. And then if you kind of take a deeper dive into the other songs on the album or EP, you will kind of just see more so like connecting themes to that, I guess. Very poor way of explaining it, but
I think
explanation.
it's definitely supposed to be an extension of the first EP, almost like a more, we call it Headwreck X2. So it's pretty much just same as the first one, but refined, redux, and a bit more mature, I'd say.
Well, see, I think you explained that perfectly. I definitely, I think as we, our society becomes a little more futuristic, and we rely more on like long-term communications, like using social media, we definitely all, as humans, yearn for that bond, and having someone physically knowing like they are enough, like for like that sense of happiness. So I definitely can see that important message. And I think that's amazing that you guys aren't just writing songs to have filthy breakdowns or riffs, but you guys want your lyrics to actually have an impact on people. And that's how you're going to go far, and that's how you're going to have people like me who are just insanely impacted by your music, and especially your lyrics. So awesome.
Thanks, man.
That's so sick.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. But that kind of did lead into my next question is like, is there a specific song, like you mentioned Shiver, but that has like an important message that you'd like to share? Like, is there anything like, I guess it could be a little too personal, you don't have to share, but like something that inspired a song, like it maybe is like personal life experience or it's a story that you've heard?
I think Connor's probably got this one.
Yeah, I'll take this. I'd probably say, yeah, Shiver's probably the one that we've been talking about a bit. It's the way that was sort of written was we originally had the idea of cold for this. We had an instrumental written, and I think there was a lyric about something being cold, and that was about it. I think Colby presented the chorus, which is the warmth of another enough to satisfy.
Mm-hmm.
In reference to the sun and another person.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the most personable song on the EP, maybe that or Poseidon. But yeah, that one's definitely, we put a lot of effort into sort of making the lyrical themes around that one really focus on the concept of sort of whether it's this is hard to explain. It's sort of it's sort of talking about like having that connection with someone else and, yearning for that like warmth, but it's not necessarily saying that it's something that we need. It's talking about, yearning for that, but the song doesn't really talk about it being something that you need or something that we really, I'm getting really lost here, Colby. Colby needs to like, my brain is just like, brrr.
Yeah, okay, sure. It's essentially yearning for warmth. Do you need it is a question that a lot of people ask. A lot of people think being by themselves, they're fine. Like, it's cool being by ourselves. It's chill. But at the end of the day, I feel like human connection is just one of those things on this earth that really inspires you or really drives you or gives you almost like a purpose sometimes. And I feel like it can be overlooked very, very easily. So I think just kind of chucking these like questions out where it's just like, it's getting cold despite our sun's design, is the warmth of another enough to satisfy? It makes you kind of just reflect on how am I almost. If that gives you any insight as well. I've tried to pick up the bones that kind of left.
Yeah, it's very introspective. I feel like that's the thing with a lot of our music. All the lyrical themes are a lot of the time written like the concepts are usually by myself, and usually like it's written in a bit of a just splurge. Like, I've got a feeling something's going on. I want to write about it, and it sort of just happens. I sort of, usually come up with some pretty interesting ideas and concepts, and we sort of just build off of that. But yeah, it's, especially with Shiver, it really was starting with Colby's chorus that he wrote.
Well, I think that was really well explained. I did really, I think that's still like that human connection part is something that's really intrinsic with like me and my values. So I definitely love that. And that's just so important that you guys are having lyrics that are having an impact on you and that you can have like such a passion to be able to share it with. So I think that's really great. But actually, you did lead that into my next question again. So thank you. So how do you go about writing songs? Is it a group effort, or is there like one main songwriter of the group? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, so main songwriter of the group is no surprise that it's JMO, our guitarist. He records, mixes, masters everything. So it's pretty evident of him having a hand in writing everything. JMO usually just sort of presents us a instrumental, and it might not necessarily have like a song structure, it might just be parts, but he usually gives us something pretty refined. And once we sort of get it into a song structure that we're comfortable with, that's when we'll start adding lyrics. And usually when we're adding lyrics, it's more so about phrasing and feel, about how the lyrics are going to sit with it. A lot of the time when we're just demoing and stuff, we'll actually just make up words. It sounds really weird. I saw a video of Blink doing it years ago, and it's so that they don't become attached to any lyrics that they write while they're demoing and stuff. And it's hard that once you hear a lyric, just you can't part with it, especially if you've been listening to it for a year during the writing process. So yeah, actually a lot of our demos and stuff are just just nonsense. Big nonsense.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do to get that like best product. So that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So then when we have our once we have our song with our some other language on it, we'll sort of start. Usually by that point, we might have a few lyrics that, you know, floating around in people's iPhone notes and stuff. But yeah, it sort of just builds from there.
Neat. And I can definitely see it. You guys, I think something that really sets you apart from other bands is just like the electronic aspect of your music, especially like your riffs. Like, I don't know, you guys have a very identifiable sound, and that's something that I can resonate. I know many people who I've introduced your music to can resonate as well. But do you always start off with like lyrics first, or like maybe a sound, or like did someone just write a riff, or did you like kind of like you mentioned, just kind of whatever people are feeling?
It's not always the same, I'd say. Sometimes I'll have lyrics or something that I've written, or Colby might have something, and we might build off of that and realize, oh, this works with this instrumental. Because basically we have a Dropbox just full of riffs and demos and new songs and old songs and stuff we haven't used. So it's hard to say because everything sort of starts differently.
It's an absolute like credit to JMO. He just kind of powers through all of these demos, but it's like the demos that we receive, we're so grateful to be in a position that like he has like essentially these templates that he writes demos in, which sound like the finished like product. Wow. So it's like we get these demos and it's completely mixed and mastered, like how say Glamorized Demise was, or it's completely mixed and mastered like how Reflection Room is like. And then we go, okay, this sounds sick. And it's essentially the entire song, but it might just be like, oh, okay, the intro is a bit too long, because he loves just having these long synth intros that go for like 40 seconds. And we're like, okay, get that off, make it shorter. And yeah, but absolute credit to, we call him Big Mo or Slow Mo.
Big Mo. That's some good nicknames, Slow Mo. I like that. Yeah. That's really helpful though. I bet that that goes a long way, especially if being like, okay, I'm so grateful that I can have that kind of confirmation that it's like, okay, this is how the final product could sound, and I can feel comfortable with it. So
yeah, exactly. It kind of it doesn't really leave anything up to interpretation. It's not like, oh, this could be fat, but the mix would really depend. It's just like if it sounds fat straight away, it's like, okay, yeah, that's sick. If it's like a bit, you know that it's not going to be the right thing.
We sort of already have an idea of what things are going to sound like by the time we have an instrumental demo, just because it already is mixed and mastered, which is very, very spoiled to be able to do that.
Well, thank God for that, because I can imagine that goes just such a long way, and it helps you, especially with like the final product, being able to say like, okay, this is how I want it to sound. This is it creates that better picture. So that's really amazing. Wow. Thank God for him then. Big Mo. Big Mo. Oh my gosh, what an iconic nickname. Wow. But so like you mentioned, you said that he mixed and masters to have like the sound of your previous EP, Glamorous Demise, and then also Reflection Room. So of course I've mentioned, I think like your electronic use in like your choruses, and then also just like your tone of your riffs is very identifiable. But what do you think sets your band specifically apart from other bands in your genre?
Am I taking it or you, bro?
Yeah, you take it.
Oh, what sets us apart? I don't know. Like, to be honest, when you kind of put like Headwreck in its core, it's just essentially like metalcore, but some people call us new metalcore because it's like a bit of chunkier riffs, I guess. It's not like technicality, it's more so groove town. But I don't know, for me, I think what kind of sets us apart is the kind of glitchiness and the synthy works and stuff like that. Like, I think it's a very modern approach to the classic structure. So say for like Shiver, for example, it's like, oh, cool, heavy verse, and then it's like clean chorus, but then it's just like for the bridge or for the second verse, it's going to be like another glitchy section. I don't know. For me, it's like, I think we're all kind of fans of JMO's like glitches and the way he likes to interpret glitches. And there's some demos he writes that for us, we're like, this is too far down the glitch lane. He has some cracked ideas when it comes to like creating glitches and just kind of pushing the limits of what he can create with that type of stuff. But yeah, I think for us, it's just kind of like, sometimes it's classic structure, sometimes it's like more progressive songs and it builds up over time. But I think it's just more so the approach towards glitchiness and kind of having our sound be with the present sound almost. It's not like trying to be like a throwback to be like, yeah, we want to be like Parkway Drive. It's like, yeah, let's just kind of do our approach to how things are kind of sounding right now and try and take it one step further.
I think another thing too is that, especially with like the sort of glitchy sounds, we are definitely trying to write and sort of build around the glitchies and the noises and stuff, as opposed to it sort of just being a song and it's slapped on over the top. Having JMO write and record everything, it just means that, you know, he's starting with these glitch ideas instead of maybe a band presenting a song to someone and it being a metalcore song or something, and then, you know, the producer putting glitches and noises and stuff over it to sort of, you know, modernize it or whatever. I think, I think it's definitely noticeable just within how JMO, I'd say we, but I'll give credit all to JMO, how JMO is really using different sounds to sort of be the front of the song as opposed to just something that you hear in the background.
Yeah, that's actually a very fair point. And to chuck on top of that, I just thought of this now. I think another really powerful thing too is like JMO really doesn't listen to like any modern music. Hey, like when it comes to modern metalcore, he is so fucking clueless. So it's like, what's coming out of him is like fresh almost, because he just loves like for synth work, he fucking loves Owl City. Like he's obsessed with like Fireflies and stuff like that, and he's just like, yeah, this is like the sickest thing ever. And like he really likes old 2000 soundtracks from like PlayStation 2 games. So like when you had your old WWE like SmackDown versus Raw 2007, there would be like his Grace or Linkin Park on that, and he absolutely like froths those songs. So like,
oh my gosh, wow.
I think maybe that's something as well. It's like, yes, we can sound similar to Northlane sometimes, but it's like the inspiration for Headwreck definitely does come from a different place. It's just like, oh, this is a taste of what the future can sound like. Well, let's go back to the roots, because the roots is what's the sickest. And I think that's what goes on in JMO's.
JMO pretty much exclusively listens to
like 4 songs.
Like not many songs. Like he on his phone, he doesn't have like any music.
Wow, that's crazy,
he has,
man.
like,
wow.
He doesn't listen to music really. It's just crazy to think because he's so intuitive and
musically inclined, you would say.
And just does not listen to much of it.
Man, you guys need to introduce him to like Alpha Wolf or something.
Like he'll dabble. He'll be like, this is cool, but he won't ever go back to listening to it because he can still listen to his Owl City Fireflies record from 2008.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the 2007 Amity Affliction album that he goes back to. It's like, oh, this is sick.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I adore that. Wow. But see, that's so great about you guys, because you have like your own personal sound as a band is so pure and genuine and from the heart. And like where a lot of like bands, their sound comes from like just straight from the studio, or like people who are producing it. Your sound is just from you. Like this is what you guys want. This is something that's on your heart, and that like literally came through your mind and you guys put it to action. So that's a really like amazing thing, and that's how you're going to create that identifiable sound. So that's really great.
Yeah.
But
thanks, homie.
Oh,
yeah, no problem. But I do have one last question for you guys. It's a little separated from the EP, but what's the best show or tour that you've ever played, and why was it so special to you?
Easy question.
Go on, mate. Go
on. We played this one show last year in April in Sydney for an Australian thing called AMPM, which is like an emo night. It was our second Sydney show. We played once before to pretty much Colby's dad and his partner and like the other 3 other people. That was pretty much at the first Sydney show. Yeah, probably 20 people. So we're pretty miserable going into this second Sydney show thinking, oh, no one wants to see us, no one cares, blah, 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 a bit morbid. And we just walked into a sold out room. It was over capacity. The room was only 300 cap, but I think they sold like 500 tickets for the venue as a whole.
Wow.
I think we played to like, I don't know, well over 300 people. The room was like overflowing. Everyone was like super into it. And it was just like a really nice surprise. You know, it was going to be a bit more of a quiet, intimate show, which ended up just turning into this fucking massive ordeal.
Yeah. I just remember being with Connor at the merch desk, and we were standing up the back, and like the bands before us were playing, and we were like, holy shit, there are so many people here. And then just like the band before us was playing like the second last song, and then like all of the power cut out. So
Oh my
like,
God.
we just had like this gut drop moment of like, oh bro, we're not gonna be able to play it. Okay, huge.
Yeah.
And then like after like 10 minutes of someone flicking like a light switch on and off, it just eventually came back on. And
Wow.
it was like, yeah, by far the best show we have ever played. I think it was just more so than anything, no one really knew us, but it was just the energy. It's like no one knew us. People were down to kind of have a little bit of a boogie, but then we felt that. So then we kind of played a bit harder, played a bit like played a more special show almost. And then like people felt that, and then people got more rowdy. So then it was just this constant back and forth. And at the end of it, we are the best. I feel awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh my gosh. And I bet it would just, because I know like I've went to a few shows where I didn't really particularly know the bands, but I was just trying to, do some damage in the mosh pit. So I bet that you guys I bet you guys had a lot of like a blast to seeing like 500 people just like going at it. And I bet it was a very special experience, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But,
Exactly. Lots of people we didn't know and didn't know us really enjoying it. It means a lot.
yeah, made some new connections. Hopefully sold some merch,
Lots.
But yeah, lots. Excellent. But I do actually have one more question I have to ask, because I've been listening to the EP endlessly. I know you guys have been talking about Shiver, but what is your favorite song off the EP? Is there like one that is just like really special to you, or you think like, oh, this is going to be huge? I know you guys just dropped a music video for Poseidon, which is an epic song, masterpiece. But is there one that like you guys are really excited about?
For me personally, my favorite song on the EP is probably the last one, Won't You? It's going to be, it's not a single. It's sort of like a single when the EP releases. No video or anything, but we actually finished that song in March. So
wow,
about a month ago. It's been rewritten, and this is sort of like a blessing and a curse. Being self-recorded and self-produced, we have a little bit too much access to our tracks, and it's really hard to put a end date or knowing when things are done. But basically, that last track, it's just been pardon the pun, but it's been the biggest head wreck, just trying to get it to sound how we want it to sound. It's been a soft song, more like the end of the suite. It's been a heavier song, and we've sort of found like a happy middle ground where we really think that it sits well with the EP. And being, I don't know whether it's biased, but being the most recent song, I definitely have like a better attachment to it. Who knows, that might change once it releases, but definitely Why Won't You?
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout what Connor said. I think sometimes having a fresher song be added to the mix kind of makes it be like the best song, and feel like the most refreshing and be like, oh, this is sick. But like I still, when we were thinking about what song are we going to drop first, so that being Let It Feel, I was on the page of like Let It Feel's the best song. But like after that, I kind of jumped boat to Poseidon. I think Poseidon's like the sickest song ever. It's just it's really fun. It's really intense. It's really in your face. It's really glitchy. I don't know. And there's like the clean chorus at the end. So it's like progressive. It's not your typical structure, but it's just like, I think it kind of has everything that kind of Headwreck can do in one track, I feel.
It sure does. That's a very accurate analysis of it, for sure.
It's just kind of like, there's like the cleans, it's melodic, sure. There's like the heavy parts, there's real glitchy parts, there's real technical parts. Then there's like a random trap beat at the end. It's kind of like, just like, oh yeah, we can do things, I guess. I don't know. I think it's just really cool, personally.
It's a good one to say, this is a Headwreck song.
Yeah, that's a great thing about you guys. You have such a definable sound that's like, if so I show this to someone, or even if I hear, like when I am at the gym, I have my playlist on shuffle, I'm like, oh yeah, this is Headwreck. I hear like the glitchy guitar and like the amazing like soaring vocals, so yeah, that's great. Thank you guys for sharing that with me. So I was just curious, because one song I've been obsessed with is Substance. I don't know, like the electronic effects in the chorus. Oh god, like easily like 50 streams in like just a few days. So like,
that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's huge.
Yeah, But yeah, masterpiece in EP, guys. But thank you guys for joining me once again. Hopefully we can have another interview in the future. But do you guys want to go ahead and plug your socials and also the band socials?
Yeah. Well, I think we're pretty good now. I think it's at Headwreck on most things. This is a Colby question. He does socials. Hands up.
Yeah, no. Instagram's at Headwreck. Facebook, I think, is at Headwreck. TikTok, we're not going to talk about.
Our TikTok's gross.
YouTube, Headwreck. Yeah, I think everything's pretty much Headwreck. We don't have a Twitter because I can't be bothered.
I don't blame you.
I think we're the only Headwreck. I think. I haven't seen any other Headwreck bands, which is nice. And that was like a big thing when trying to find the name, was like, what can we get a good Instagram handle of?
Yeah, that's a challenge for sure.
No. Don't make it seem that easy, bro. Remember how it was like you just reporting a Headwreck account for like 9 months to just get the Headwreck handle?
Yeah, we had Headwreck banned for ages, but I'm real
Oh my gosh.
There was an account called Headwreck, and I just reported it like every day for a year, and they got taken down. So I took the handle and winners are grinners.
We take those W's. Good work.
Yeah.
Good work.
Yeah.
It worked out for the best, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, we showed them.
Hell yeah. I'm proud of you guys. That's excellent. Wow. But once again, thank you guys for joining me on this interview. It was really great. I'm really looking forward to that brand new EP, which once again for everyone is coming out April 7th, Reflection Room. So make sure you keep an eye out on Headwreck socials. Pre-save it if possible, anything, everything, you know. But is there anything else you guys want to add on before we end the interview?
I just want to say a massive thank you for you guys for always sharing our stuff. It definitely does not go unnoticed. I told Colby, I was like, guess we have an interview with tomorrow, and sent him. He's like, oh, I'm 100% there.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I'm a bit of like a slow fella in the mornings. I like to take my time, sleep in, and then like Connor's like, yeah, I've got an interview tomorrow, and I'm like, oh, who with? And he's just like, with Cole, and I was like, oh shit, I'm jumping on. Just like, I don't know. I've seen just so much content from you guys, and I'm just like, yeah.
I think I said, I was like, it's with Semper Metallum, and you're just like, oh, who? And I was like, Cole. You're like, yeah, I'm there.
Oh yeah, the second Mateo was like, bro, do you want to interview Headwreck? I immediately like was screaming. I'm like, yes. It's like, what in the world? That's like I remember like you guys for a while. I went like this weird tangent where almost every other post for me was you guys, and then a band over in the US called Rogue. And I just like was just going off like posting you guys every single day. So I'm happy we can promote you guys whenever we can, just because like I mentioned before you even started the recording, but you guys had a profound impact on me. And of course I've been listening to metal since like 2016, kind of started late. But it's one of the things that I really dissect lyrics, and especially when you guys released your reimagined songs, hearing those songs that I already loved, but in a new light, definitely hit me even harder, and came into my life at a really important time. So just know your music has so much more impact than you can imagine, and that I truly believe you guys are going to go far, especially with having that identifiable sound, good lyrics. You guys seem like you're very organized, and you have a really good group dynamic. So
huge. Thanks so much, man. That's so
really
awesome.
Yeah, no problem. But once again, thank you guys for joining me on this interview, and thank you for everyone who's been watching. So
thanks, guys.
And thank you.